bids are in. The gavel is dropped. Ladies and gentlemen, here at WineBid, we are finally hammered. That's right. This is WineBid's podcast dedicated to all things wine, wine value, wine auctions, wine retail, and just wine. But anyway, as always, I'm your host, Jeff McCurran, here on the WineBid marketing team. With me, as always, is the master of must, our wine expert, Paul Walker.
Oh, man.
Today, we're going to be talking about we're going to talk about all of the wines outside of the
all of them.
We're
going to be here for hours and hours.
You cut me off. Outside of the U.S., so we're going to be looking at everything outside of the United States and France.
Everything.
All the countries, everything coming into auction. And I want to start off with Italy, and I want to move fast because there is just a few metric tons of amazing Italian wine coming into auction this week. I probably shouldn't say that because I'm bidding on a bunch of it. There's so much good stuff at such good prices. Let me start off.
I'll just bring up your lot tracker and mention everything that's on it.
No,
that's probably the most helpful thing to do.
Let's not, please. So there's this 97 Sassicaia mag for $580. We actually have
bidding on that.
Huh? No, I'm not bidding on that. But if you wanted to bid on it for me,
I'm gonna have to do this flip back and forth between regions thing again. All right, because you're gonna be going back and forth, I imagine, between all the regions of Italy.
Yes.
No geographical sense whatsoever.
Yeah, correct. Okay. No, I'm not. You know what? I go where I want. Okay.
Certainly do. 97 Sassicaia mag. I saw that. I didn't think it was terribly expensive.
$580. Yeah. I didn't think that was crazy at all because Sassicaia, look, Sassi, you're going to be paying $250 to $300 a bottle on release. This is a 97. It's got 26 years of age. It's from a mag. And $580, I think, is completely reasonable for a bottle of Sassi. $290 for $750 with 26 years of age, I think is completely reasonable. We've got this 98 Ornellaia for $340, which I thought was super interesting. Got my eye on that. 97 Antinori Chianti Classico Marchesi Antinori Reserva mag for $90. We've got two of those. Again, 26 years of age on a beautiful mag like that. Tasting notes say it's doing pretty well. 93 Quintarelli Alzero Cabernet Franc.
Hey, you're way out of Tuscany now.
I'm way out. I'm not bound by geography. Okay.
No,
I will myself, and it is so. Italy's not that big anyway. It's like going up and down California. That one's for $560. So 30 year. Great gift for a 30-year-old. I'll bet you that's drinking fantastically right now. Some beautiful Cabernet Franc from Quintarelli.
Yeah, it's a good wine.
04 Pian del
There's 80 Quintarelli Amarone also, which I thought was cool.
I saw that.
A couple of those for $330. And then there's 95 straight Valpolicella for $155.
We're heading back to Tuscany. Pian del Arino, Brunello di Montalcino 04. Already has a bid on it for $50. And the 97 Castello Banfi Brunello di Montalcino for $75 with a bid on it actually at $76. And we have the 97 Castello Banfi Brunello di Montalcino Poggio alla Mura for $85. So I thought, again, both of those, phenomenal deals. 26-year-old Brunello from a marquee, from a great producer for $76. And then the Alamura for an extra, $9. We've got the 98 Caci Piccolomini Aragona Brunello di Montalcino.
It's a mouthful.
It is a mouthful. $60, right? There's a ton of great stuff. Those Piccolomini, there's half bottles too of the Pianrosso 03, which is super, super hot vintage. A little bit of controversy, but some great wine still. And $26 was obviously have a bid. A lot of great half bottles in any event. There's a ton of amazing wines from Tuscany right now. Boggioni Brunello half bottle 04s for $35. I thought that was a deal. Yeah. There's this 2015 Pert Emali Brunello di Montalcino Sassetti Livio for $55. We've got like 5 of those. We've got this 97 Frescobaldi Castel Giancondo Brunello de Montalcino. We've got 2 of those at $80. We've got this Fellini Brunello de Montalcino from 2015 with a bid on it, actually. 21 people watching this. This is at $91 now. We've got 1 of those, but again, just looks, I mean, it's got a ton of action. We got 21 people watching it. 97 Podere Salacuti Brunello de Montalcino, 2 of those for $130 a piece. We've got the 2010 Fanti Brunello de Montalcino Le Maccherelle Reserva for $65. I mean, we've got the 97 Paggio Antico Brunello de Montalcino for $70. I mean, it just like 97 Lissini Brunello de Montalcino for $80. We have 2 of those. Just almost a criminal amount of Brunello at auction this week. And like everything's like 13 years of age, 15 years of age, 23, 26 years of age. Like it's all incredibly aged. Anything else I'm missing in Tuscany? I'm sure there's other stuff I'm missing in Tuscany, but like just
there's the interesting thing is too, you've got a choice. It's kind of like last week, I think we were talking about these sort of decades spanning, selections. Like you could pick multiple bottles from the same producer over, a bunch of different decades essentially. And Ornellaia was one of those as well. There's like 98, 2000, 2010. There's a second label, Serra Nuove, 8 from 18 for $40. So that kind of gives you the entry level, the wine entry level Ornellaia experience. Yeah, there's all kinds of mid 90s, strong vintages from 90s, Brunello, 97s, obviously, a lot of Poggio Antico, Poggio Salvi. Yeah, the Fanti I thought was a good deal. There's half bottles of Morris Farms Albaltori for $15. I thought that was a steal. 01 at $35. There's Lazzaretti 01s. Same thing with La Poderina. There's 97, 98, 99. So just sort of like mini verticals of all kinds of great things. La Massa Giorgio Primo, 04 La Gerla Brunello, half bottles at 20. So, just a lot of different to get into serious Italian wine, either at half bottle, you can buy half bottles if you're interested, or 750s or whatever. Not a ton of large formats, but a lot of selections. So
there is the 11 Il Caniscali, Il Caberlo Mag. We've got 3 of those at $210 a piece. I didn't think that was too bad.
Yeah, that's interesting wine. We talked about that. I think they only bottle the Caberlo in mags or something like that. But yeah, it's good stuff. I saw that. I saw the 11s for $210.
And the 210 comes in well under the community average on Cellar Tracker as well. So I think that's a pretty good deal. Heading to Piedmont, we've got 2016 GD Vajra Barolo Ravera for $75. We've got 2 of those. We've got the 2013 Conterno Fontino Barolo Sori Ginestra for $75 also. 97 Pio Cesare Barolo, 2 of those for $95. We've got this Cavallado Barolo Brico Boschis for $100 again. But like this stuff is like 23 years of age, 22 years of age. I mean, these are beautiful Barolos that are just drinking phenomenally right now. And then we've got a couple of Barbarescos, the 2000 Albino Rocca Barbaresco, Veneto, Brich Ronchi for $80. We got 3 of those. And the 04 Cantina del Pino Barbaresco Ovello for $65. We've got 4 of those. If you're a Nebbiolo lover, again, a great week. It's just a phenomenal week for Nebbiolo as far as I'm concerned. Just really good stuff.
There's a whole lot. Yeah, you mentioned the Cavallotto. It's interesting because those 98s, 99s, 01s, those wines are less expensive than some of the more later releases. There's 94 Chiretto in there, the Bernate at 50, which I thought was a decent deal. And there's a bunch of Conterno a bunch of Carino, Giacomo Carino, Giacchini, there's Reserva, there's all sorts of stuff. Gaia half bottles, $90 for the Barbaresca 09. Paliera, Rania, those Paille half bottles are kind of interesting. Aranya seems those prices have gone up quite a bit. And so 03 and 05 half bottles seemed pretty reasonable. They got bids too, 26 and 46 respectively. There's a bunch of La Spinetta wines. There's the Barbera Superiore, as well as the Monferrato Pin, 95, 97, 99. So yeah, just again, sort of mini verticals of all kinds of different things. There's a bunch of the Luigi Ferrando Carema wines, the black label. I think there's even some of the other labels as well. But again, like late 90s and then into the 2000s, as well as more modern. I think as recent as 2017. There's a bunch of Mokagata half bottles, which I thought was great. They're not expensive. 04, 06, 09, 2010, all under $30. Paolo Scavino half bottles. There's a bunch of great 96 and 97 Protetore Reservas. And yeah, Vietti, Castiglione 2010 half bottles. So I think I was just picking half bottle selections because there were so many wines in 750 anyway that I thought, the half bottles, we don't see them very often. They're very collectible, but they're not obviously worth a ton for some of these wines, which makes them much more accessible, especially if you're just an individual collector and you're not buying for an event or something where you don't need a whole lot of it. It's a great format to try some really serious stuff at, a lot more reasonable price points. So anyway.
The only two other things I'll mention from Veneto, 97 Tommaso Bussola Amarone della Valpolicella Classico TB. We got one of those at 115. And then there's a 97 Allegrini La Poggia for 85. I thought those caught my eye for sure.
There's a bunch of stuff that I kind of from the rest of Italy that I flagged this week. Again, a lot of interesting smaller format wines. There's a bunch of the San Leonardo wines, Vallegrina from mid 90s, 2000s, 01s, 04s, half bottles of 06. There's some Turnhoff, Gold Muscateller, Pasito, the late harvest stuff. There's, you mentioned the Bussola wines. There's a bunch of Recioto, 500 mLs, Zanato Amarone half bottles. And there's, some Hofstadter Pinot Noir, which I thought was cool from the 90s, which you don't see very often. It's hard to find that wine as it is. And then there's almost a sort of a mixed vertical of the San Gregorio Serpico from 96 to basically 96, 01, 03, 04, 08. I think there might be a couple of others, but 96 is kind of interesting because it has the old label. I've never actually seen that before. And then from further south, there's half bottles of the Donna Fugata, the Vendrier Pasito, it's really delicious late harvest wine. The 02, there's the Pasito Pantelleria, and then also the Edizione Limitata, both from 02, 25 and $30. Respectively for those. And there is some also from down south, the Argiolas, the Touriga, 95, 98, and 03, which they're not terribly expensive and rarely see those wines. So yeah, very, very great selection of Italians this week.
Let's over to Germany. All right. So there is just an embarrassment of JJ Prum coming into auctions, just like a ton of it, right? 01, Himmelreich, Spätlese, number 1, the Great Himmelreich, 09, and actually the 09, Wählener Sonnenur Riesling Auslese, number 12. That one's we've got a split for $40. We have 5 of them actually. 02, so Wählener Sonnenur Riesling Auslese, number 13, 75. I mean, if you like Jojas Prum, like this is the week to go look at it because there's just a bunch of Jojas Prum. There's also a lot of Donhoff coming into auction.
Yeah,
just a ton of great stuff. I also picked out the 07 Keller Dalsheim Burgell Spätburger Burgunder Felix Chalken. This one actually we have 3 of them with 3 bids. So they already have bids. They're from 120, they're at 130 now. but there's a bunch of other Keller too, including some Riesling. There's some good stuff from Willi Schaefer. So there's an 03 Grieche Domprost Riesling Spätlese number 11. That one has a bid on it. We have two of them that have bids on them, or one of them has a bid on out of the two. $55. 13 Peter Lauer Eiler Coupe Riesling Fass. 13 Sar Filer.
This one's giving you a real
number 13. That one has two bids on it, taken from $40 to $42. We got a bunch of other Peter Lauer wines coming to auction, but they're super. I mean, a lot of people watching the Peter Lauer stuff. I think that stuff's going to get bid up and up and up, right? 17.
Well, yeah, there was that super late release wine from 1987, I think, in last week that got bid up quite a bit. Something was like, I think it was disgorged in 2021. It was from vintage 87. So that was pretty crazy. But yeah, there is a lot of it in this week as well, I'm sure. And all price points too. There's, like inexpensive $30 Lauer, as well as, going up more expensive obviously for the GG wines and the sparkling wines, but still nothing crazy. They're not like Keller wines. They're not, in the hundreds of dollars.
No. I mean, you look at it. They're anywhere from right now the 30 to.
I think 30 to 45. Yeah, it's not a tremendous range.
Even the Grosses Gewachs, like they're an extra $15, right, for some of these some of these Grosses Gewachs Rieslings. So just a bunch of really cool Peter Lauer ones. 06 Marcus Molitor, Braunberger, Klostergarten, Pinot Noir, 3-star number 15. That one's $55. I thought that looked really interesting. 1999 Reichsgraf von Kesselstadt, Schatzhofberger, Riesling Spätlese number 18 for $30. 2021 Emmerich Schönleber, Munzinger, Blätzchen.
Yeah, make sure you get the vineyard names.
Riesling, Grosses Gewachs, number 44.
Vineyards is what matters.
Vineyards what matter. 2000. They could make their vineyard names a little bit shorter. Like, do they have to be so long? 2009, Kartzhauerhof, Eidelsbacher, Kartzhofbasser. I'm totally butchering this stuff. Riesling Spätlese number 26 for $40, and then 05 Friedrich Becker Verbode Früchte number 27 for $30. I thought this was interesting. We got three of these. These ones are a Bordeaux blend, and Verbodene means is from verboten, which means forbidden. So this is the forbidden fruit, is what they call it.
That's interesting.
$30 for a German Bordeaux style blend. I thought was super interesting. I'm very close to bidding on that one and picking up a bottle just to, because I've never tasted a German Bordeaux blend. I know you have, because you're an expert in wine in general, but I have not.
I've never had these wines, so no. It's interesting too, because there's a lot of time on both of them. Both 05 and 09. They're not. Yeah, you're right. They're not expensive. Those are cool. That's a neat find.
So what else you got from Germany? What did I miss?
Yeah, no, you pretty much touched on all of them. There's, again, small formats here as well, although I think this collection of wines, mostly European wines that came through, it's not a ton of German wine in that cellar, but there were some 2 bottles of 99 Simon, the Björn Outsays actually for gold capsule for 45. Didn't seem like too bad, especially something with that much time on it. A 1 Gunderloch Spätlese was at 31. I thought that was a really good deal from such a great vintage. And yeah, there was some Miller Catuar wines that I noticed too from 01 and 04. Spätleses from 01. I think all three of them were, and the prices were kind of confusing to me. Why? I think it has to do with the AP numbers getting higher scores for the same vineyard. So like the dry version of the 01 Miller Catuar was at $26, but then the Spätlese number 9s are at 80. And so I don't know, that's quite a wide range when it's coming from the same vineyard. Well, but anyway, I'm not an expert, so I have no idea why there's such a difference.
You are an expert. Wait, you're saying that like You don't understand why the Spätlese cost more than the dry?
No, dude. They're all Spätleses. The dry version, the Trocken version, is $60 less than the sort of standard Spätlese with the AP number 9. It's got to be because of scores. That's the only reason.
It could also be because when they add in the residual sugar, they just use really expensive sugar. They add in $60 worth of residual sugar.
Actually, no, it's not because of scores, because there are no scores for the number 9. So I have no clue why they're so much more. But anyway.
All right, let's head on over to Spain. So I've relocated in the middle of this podcast, and now we're going to relocate to Spain, where we're going to talk about some interesting wine we have coming in auction. You like how I just segued there really seamlessly. So we've got a bunch of really cool 90s Spanish wine. This 96 Vega Sicilia Allion, $85. And we also have a 97 that's up to $71. It's got a bid on it. We've got this 96 Bodegas Muga Rioja Torre Muga. This one, we have 2 of them for $95. 1999 Alvaro Palacios Finca Dofi for $80. We've got a 99 Numancia Termes Numancia for $70. An 01 Bodegas Alto Ribera del Duero. We got 3 of those for $65. 2011 Claw Mogador. 3 of those at $70. One of them has a bid on it already. 01 Bodegas Mauro Vino de la Tierra de Castilla y León for $70. And this 96 Ramirez de Ganuza Rioja Reserva. We have 3 of those for $145 a piece. So just some really cool Spanish wine with a lot of age on it at what I think is fairly reasonable prices.
Yeah, no, I noticed that there was one of those Commando wines popped in again this week. 19 Commando. I'm still very curious about these. They're so expensive and never tasted them. But yeah, no, lots of things. The other one that stuck out to me that I'd never seen before and also never tasted is the Abadia Retuerta Petit Verdot. There's a couple bottles of the 02 in at $130 and $140, and never had this wine. I was like, wow, that's expensive, especially for his producer. I didn't think most of the wines they made were that expensive, and didn't get giant scores. So it must just be kind of rare.
Yeah.
And then those Palacios wines. There's the Terraces 98 Magnum for $80, but that's like the third label. So it's probably in Mag. It's probably drinking great, or it's probably a little bit, at its peak. I would buy that and drink it. I wouldn't store it. But the other wines, the Finca Dofi 97 and 99s are probably also, those wines drank well when they were young, but they should still be tasty. But yeah, and then you mentioned the Allion wines. Those are cool. There's also the Rotjan Torre Amadis wines, which were kind of a big deal when they came out. I think they got some pretty serious scores as well. I haven't tasted them in a long time, but there's the ones in for 55. And so that was the other one that stuck out to me. And the half bottles of the La Rioja Alta, again, it's like, finding sort of marquee, serious stuff you can find now in half bottles this week. I would imagine many of these will sell, but still it's not going to be crazy auction battles to find, because there's 9 bottles of the Rioja Alta, for example, 9 half bottles at 40 each. So something to try, be able to try serious wine that normally would cost you at least $80 for $750. Yeah. Anyway, wanted to showcase all the half bottles we had this week.
Let's really, before we conclude, let's really quickly cover a couple other countries. There's a bunch of Austrian wine coming to auction this week, including a bunch of Trockenbeeren Ausleses for great prices. So they're all splits, I believe, and they're all anywhere from, let's say, $45 to $120 at the high end. So you can get some phenomenal Austrian Trockenbeer Ausleses. I think they're all from the 90s too. Yeah, 98s, 99. So they've got like a good amount of age on them. And I think those are really neat. And they've got some that are like Chardonnay Trockenbeer Ausleses and just some cool stuff. The other thing we've got a bunch of stuff from FX Pichler, which just a ton of stuff from this producer coming to auction this week. Gruner Veltliners, Rieslings, just a bunch of cool stuff. And then I wanted to note that we've got some Slovenian wine coming to auction, including some Movia and also some Burja and Jakončić. I'm not pronouncing these correctly, but some really cool Slovenian wine coming in auction. And then the last thing I'll mention is we've got a bunch of Musar coming into auction as well. So if you're a Musar fan, this is a great week to grab some bottles, including a bottle of 06 and 03 Musar Blanc. So, which I feel like we don't see as often. We usually are seeing their Bordeaux style blend, not usually as much their white wine. Anything from around the world that I missed before we wrap up here, Paul?
Yeah, you mentioned Austria. There's a lot of great wines from Austria, and there's some Prager, there's some Nigel wines, again, half bottles, inexpensive. 2012 Gruners at $16. Then there's also the 12 Nigel Riesling Privat half bottle, 25. So again, really serious stuff, really interesting wine with time on it. There's some Knoll wines as well, 500 mLs of the Traminers, and they're inexpensive, $25, $26. So obviously people are bidding on them, but again, I don't think they're going to go sky high. And then there were a couple of serious red wines from Portugal, dry Portuguese wine from Pratt's and Symington, the Chrysea. There's 01, 04, and 08, 80 for the 01, 75 for the 04, and 51 for the 08. And then there's this really interesting multi-vintage rare tawny from Santos Jr., $51 for that, 800 milliliters, like in a basket. It was a really interesting bottle that caught my eye. As well as, the Slovenian wines you mentioned, and that one half bottle of dessert wine, I'd never, ever seen this before, is Zlati Greek Riesling, Alaski. Again, I have no clue how to pronounce this, but it seemed like a very, very interesting thing, and it's not expensive. It bids at 23 right now. So, yeah, that was wrapped up my other picks as well.
Awesome. Well, then, with that concludes our Rest of the World episode for Finally Hammered. This has been Jeff McGurn and Paul Walker wishing you a happy bidding, and cheers.
Cheers.